What's up, guys? I'm about to turn the camera over to our right Latina girlfriend. Make sure that lid's off of it. All right, folks. Today for lunch and live stream, we are cooking some scallops and Chilean sea bass. Both of these are elite meals that cost a lot of money at restaurants, more and more as Biden inflation takes control of our lives. And one of the things that we have to worry about with Biden inflation, or all inflation taking control of our lives, is no matter how much money you may be making, you're driving most likely on the same roads as people who are feeling some economic duress. And that is the topic for today as it pertains to the crazy person that we've had working at our house for the last several weeks. Now, if you've been following me on Twitter for some time, you've noticed that I don't seem to have the best luck, skill, ability, fortune in selecting people to work on my house. It is my first rodeo, first time owning a house, first time dealing with I dealt with a lot of degenerates in baseball, but not quite this degenerate, as I'm coming to realize many of these people are. So to give you some background on how we got into a situation where we are dealing with someone who seems to be a paranoid schizophrenic, buddy of mine in Austin connected me with his handyman, whom he said did pretty good work on his house and for a decent rate. And so I said, sure. We got some work that another contractor who's supposed to finish it up hadn't finished up, maybe $1,200 worth of work. He owed it to me, but you know what? I wasn't going to wait another several months to harangue him to try to get it done. So I'm just like, screw it. I'll just pay somebody to take care of it. If he can take care of it, it's fine. It's not a huge deal. I think it's, unfortunate that, people don't feel responsible to do the things that they said that they would do. At the same time, I have a life to live myself. I don't want to be spending, hours chasing after somebody who has no real intention of living up to his word. So we had this new handyman come over, I'd say maybe 6 weeks ago, perhaps even 8 weeks ago, to kind of scope out some work around the house. He took a look at the laundry list of things that we needed done, and decided that he could probably finish the work that we needed to get finished in about 30 hours. I thought, that's great. 30 hours is great. You could do that in a week. I'll pay you, get this taken care of. Hold that thought while we apply salt to the first layer of the seafood with our trusted paper towels on the bottom layer, because we know that moisture is the enemy of a good sear, and a good sear is what makes the texture come out when we're having good seafood. We're also going to use onion powder on just the sea bass, not the scallops. And then I didn't get any garlic, but I'm going to get some garlic for the scallops. Hang with me for 1 second. Okay, so back to the degenerate. As we flip the seafood to the other side, so we get both sides a little bit dehydrated. Back to the degenerate. So, we work out like, all right, you're going to start this week, come this time, all good. You get started. Brings a friend that he's working with, male friend at this point, and subcontractor, whatever, fine, no big deal. You guys are going to work together, and slowly but surely they get work done. It's been great working with them. He's immensely more responsive than the previous loser who had coming into the house. And, I'm grateful that, he does what he says he's going to do. One of his earlier days on the job, however, we come back and we see him sleeping in his car in our driveway. And I'm the type of person where, I don't care what you do to get your job done. As long as you get the job done, it's fine with me. Given the fact that he's a trades worker, and the fact that, if you've been sleeping for 45 minutes, even an hour, I'd be like, all right, whatever. I worked in China. People take naps after lunch. Do what you want to do on your business. Just don't bill me by the hour for it. But he was sleeping for like 3 hours in our driveway. And so the only type of people who take 3-hour naps in the afternoon are degenerates. And so, I assumed that he was like high on opiates or something like that. Tradesman, probably high on opiates. And so, I kind of thought, and then my girlfriend thought that she saw him snort something, which I wasn't aware that people snorted opiates, but I don't do opiates, so I don't really know how they're commonly ingested. Um, and so, he got up, kind of finished up, cleaned up, left, didn't say much that day. And then the following day, he pulls me aside. I'm in the kitchen. He's like, "Hey, Alex, can I talk to you outside?" And yeah, what's up? What's up, Todd? And he's like, "Hey, you're probably wondering, what the fuck is going on? Why is this guy sleeping in my garage?" And I got to tell you, I'm homeless. Um, I was and I'm like, "Oh, okay," because I figured like life's getting expensive. I don't know what people do who don't make that much money for rent when it can cost like $2,000 a month to live in this area. Um, and so he seemed like he was cogent, he was competent, and so my assumption was, he couldn't come up with rent money. All right. Um, and and I told him, well, we just assumed you were on opiates. We didn't, as long as you don't bring drugs in our house, as long as you do good work and you don't bill me for work that you don't do, we don't care. Which we're changing our opinion of that based on this incident. But we didn't care. I didn't care at the time. Maybe my girlfriend cared because she spent more time around degenerates than I have. But the degenerates I've been around like get their work done at the very least. So maybe they're not that degenerate. Okay, so we're gonna coat salt on the last remaining scallops that we're defrosting. Okay, so basically I gave him the libertarian, like, look, do your thing, just get the job done, don't lie, and we're fine. And that and he was honest with me, and that was good for trust building. He said, yeah, I was in a sober house. I spent most of my kid's life. I was drunk and abusive, and I was in a sober house. But then I got in a fight with the owner, so I got kicked out. And like, you think, well, why do you get in a fight with the owner of a sober house? Probably because you're not being sober. But I thought about that at the time. But he was cogent when he was talking to me. So I let it slide, and he seemed contrite, and he can do good work, which is very hard to find these days. And he shows up when he says he's going to show up. Also very hard to find these days. And that just goes to show you, if you're better than other people in your field, you can get away with a lot, including apparently being a drug addict. And so he, he kept working, and I kept paying him. Every couple of days he would give me his hours, and I paid him. And I wasn't, trying to be Scrooge on it, because I knew he needed money to pay his rent, because his rent doesn't work like ours, where I would assume he might need to pay daily or weekly or something like that. So I always wanted to make sure that, if he works, he gets paid. He wasn't like waiting every 2 weeks to get a paycheck. And, so and we added work to the project. So there was a storm here. We wanted to add more fans. And so I knew that, initially he thought it was going to be $1,200 in his estimate, and that's an estimate. So, I thought maybe $1,600, and then we added another project that involved fans, and that went a little bit long. So I thought, okay, maybe that's another $1,000. And then there was a storm that came and knocked out a portion of the front of our house, because like animals had chewed through, squirrels had chewed through some stuff. And so I thought, okay, maybe that adds another $1,000 or something. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I'm probably spending $3,000-4,000 instead of two, plus materials, maybe $4,000. Like, all right, well, shit happens, like whatever, $4,000. And then one week he sends me a bill for like $2,000. I'm like, oh wow, $2,000 in 1 week, and we still have work left. Like, that's a lot. Like, how much have I actually paid so far? And I go through all my Venmo. I'm like, holy shit, I've already paid $5,000 for this work. He's asking for like 2 more, and I think there's probably like 25 hours more work, but I can't even figure out like what work he's done that he's billed me for, because I've probably paid 160 hours worth of labor, but like I can only figure out that he's done maybe 80 hours I don't know. I'm not saying he's cheating me, but I'm also saying like, I don't know where those other 80 hours are going. He seemed a little bit OCD, like he's working on stuff that I wouldn't want him to. That's not necessarily like not broken. It's just not a top priority. And so I just asked him like, hey, what are we working on? And he got very defensive over text, about like, I'm not cheating you. I'm not working for less, blah, blah, blah. And like, I know he's not financially stable. I'm not trying to like drive this guy into personal bankruptcy because I don't want to pay him an extra $1,000 or something like that. I just want to make sure that this budget's manageable and we're not just deciding that Alex is Richie Rich and just deciding that he can suck off my teat for an extended period of time because I seem to be a little bit cool with him doing what he's going to do. And so he gets mad at me and then apologizes a couple days later. Meanwhile, this entire time, that week he didn't bill me until the end of the week, which is why I got a bigger bill than I normally did and started to like take a closer look at it. And he asked me in the middle of the week, like, you didn't send me any money, did you? And I said, no, like I haven't gotten a text from you in like 2-3 days. And he said, oh yeah, it's because somebody's hacked into my phone. Somebody hacked into my Venmo. I'm like, oh man, that sucks. And I believed him because, degenerate people hang around degenerate people and like bad stuff happens to them just from circumstance. And so I had assumed that was correct. He was I had no reason to think that didn't happen. And so I wanted to make sure every time I sent him money that like, yeah, your Venmo's good. Like nobody else is getting it right. Yeah. We're all good. Okay, cool. And so he ends up, we got some ghee that we're going to cook both the scallops and the sea bass in. Okay, so the difference between the scallops and the sea bass is we're going to cook the scallops on as high heat as possible, and then we're going to cook the sea bass on medium-high heat. Well, we turn the fan on low. If you guys have any questions, obviously ask them. But in the middle of storytelling, so the dude is, we tell him like, hey, we want you to finish the job. Like you've been doing good work. We just need to know like the budget just needs to be like under control. And so he doesn't come for a few days. He's like, I apologize over text. He's very contrite. I apologize. This isn't professional. I'm just not well. And I assumed that he'd been going on a bender or something, like, because he was mad at me. I just assumed he was drinking for 2 days and decided not to come. I'm like, well, all right, if you're drunk, don't come. Fine. He texts me, I'm not well. I'm like, oh, are you sick? He doesn't text back. Fine, whatever. So he ends up coming. He doesn't come for a couple more days. He finally comes like this week. So he probably took like a week and a half off from the incident, from the text incident that set him off about the hours. And so he comes finally. His first day, I think, is Wednesday. And he comes Wednesday. At the end of the day, he's like, look, I only got 2.5 hours done, but if you can pay me, I kind of need that right now. I'm like, okay, fine. He put some stuff in the wrong places. I'm like, hey, I didn't want that. So we only need this done here. He's like, oh, okay, I'll fix it. I won't bill you for that. Okay, great. And then at the end of the day, he texts back. He's like, it might make sense for, these people keep messing with me. It might make sense for me to wait until they stop messing with me to finish the work. Like I need the money, but I'm also concerned about you have a family and I'm concerned about their safety, something to that extent. And I'm like, okay, sure. One thing I forgot is he texted me last week and said, what was the name of the guy who came and spoke to you about me? Nobody's spoken to me about him. Like nobody's spoken, like texting back, nobody has spoken to me about you. And he texts back about the amphetamines. I'm like, what? Like, no. So he calls me right away. He's like, nobody's talked to you about amphetamines? I'm like, no, Todd. Like the only discussion that we have had about drugs has been about you, between me and you, when we were trying to figure out why you were sleeping on my in my driveway, several weeks ago. I've not talked to anybody about amphetamines and you. Okay, fine. So he does, comes back. does the work, kind of figure that's over, whatever. And so yesterday he's like, or a couple of days ago, he's like, maybe I should wait and to finish the job. You know, you have a family to take care of or whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, the guy who's messing with me has been in your house. I'm like, what? Like, we've been in our house. You've been in our house. How do we know that he's been in our house? And so we're trying to figure out, like, where's this guy been? We found some camera in our, like, the corner of my guest or family room that, like, we don't know if that came with the house or if that's a recent addition. So we're like, if someone's watching us in our living room, it's not that big of a deal, but it'd be good to know. Okay, so we're going to put these on high. That's a great sizzle sound. We're going to turn this one down to medium high. And so he tries to tell me that the people who have been messing with him have been inside my house, which is obviously distressing. And then the most distressing thing he texts me is, for all I know, you're working with them or you're coordinating with them or something to that extent. I'm like, oh, fuck. This guy thinks we're plotting against him. Like, that's not a good situation to be in. And but then, 80% of the stuff that he says is cogent. So I'm like, all right, well, like, put that aside. We'll see what else we can discover. And so we agreed, like, we'll just talk about it in the morning. Okay, we'll talk about it in the morning. I tell my girlfriend this because I think if I didn't tell her, she would be not happy. Find out that I decided to deal with this fully on my own. So I showed her the text messages. Well, what do you think I should do? I told him to come over in the morning and we talk about what's going on. And she's like, no, he's not coming back in the house. If you're going to meet him in like a third-party destination. Okay, fine. So I text him the next morning. I'm like, hey, my family's concerned about this. Like, let's just meet at the Chevron down the street. So I walk down the street, meet him at the Chevron. And 1 minute after we're supposed to meet, which is 2 minutes before I got there, he texts me, are we still doing, like, you sure you want to do this? I'm like, what? Yes. 2 minutes later, so I'm 3 minutes late. 2 minutes later, he's like, that's it. I've had enough. I'm done. I see him right there. I'm crossing the street. So I go walk, I cross the street, put the sea bass on, medium high. And I see him, I cross the street, I knock on the car window, and he looks at me, and he's like, I've had enough. I've had enough of you and your girlfriend messing with me. And I'm like, Todd, what are you talking about? And he said, you know what I'm talking about. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he said, those people, it took them 4 hours to get the garbage yesterday. Yesterday at the time was garbage day. I'm like, well, I don't know, the garbage got taken. What's he talking about? And then he's like, and when the truck came by, it had you and your girlfriend's likeness on it. Like he was cogent enough to say the word likeness, like he's some lawyer or something like that. He did say likeness, which if you don't know what that means, it means like our face, like how we are. And so, I'm like, okay, well, we definitely don't have a garage truck sponsorship. There are no garage trucks in the city of Austin or state of Texas, for that matter, that feature our faces on it. And so at this point, we're like, okay, so obviously this man is like deluding himself. Okay, so that's a great sear. We're going to flip these. We flip them, as we mentioned last time, when the surface is liquidy. So when the moisture comes to the front, that's when we flip.
He joined a little bit later. He said he joined in the middle of a very interesting story, and he felt that we're armed.
We are armed. We hope we don't have to use the arms that we have. So we have done a couple things. First thing my girlfriend said is to hide the guns, because we thought, if he's going to come in our house at some point, we don't want him easily finding them. Then we decided he's not going to come in our house. So we actually want the guns to be more accessible. So they are more accessible now. And so We'll put the garlic in. And so, yeah, he decided that he saw my girlfriend and my faces on the garbage truck. And so that's obviously very scary because he's imagining things that are not possible. Have you ever seen anybody's face on a garage truck? I don't think so. And so the scary part about that is there's no upper limit as to what he might find to be true. And so we don't know if he's going to think that we're continuing to plot against him. And so we're just like, all right, well, you got to get your stuff. He said, I'm going to go get my tools. I'm like, okay, fine. Get your tools. These are done.
He's asking what your home defense firearm of choice is.
Well, it should be a shotgun. I should just get like a pump shotgun because that, the sound probably provides a significant portion of protection. But right now we just have a couple handguns actually. One's a Ruger, the other is actually a revolver, which would not be the tactically best choice. But if I have to fire off more than 6 rounds to get somebody, I think I got bigger problems. And so we're like, so the game plan now is have him get his tools as fast as possible, because as my girlfriend astutely pointed out, if we don't have him get his tools as fast as possible, he's going to decide that we're conspiring against him and we're trying to get him to not work. And, we don't want him to invent any more reasons to, want to retaliate against us or anything. So, so I texted him this morning, hey, Todd, you can come, thank you for your work. It's been good quality. You can come pick up your tools anytime after 3:30. And so, I don't know if he's awake or on a bender or whatever. So I don't necessarily expect him to reply in any prompt time, but he does reply. And I'm going to flip this. Cool thing about cooking Chilean sea bass is it's a little bit of a fatty meat. So we're actually getting more sea bass fat to cook the sea bass in. Okay, so he texts me back. I wish you hadn't gone in with them. I don't know who and it's them. So them, like whoever it is that's conspiring against him. So he texts me back. I wish you hadn't gone in with them. They've had me 10 times. I don't know what they've had me 10 times. I think he missed a word. I don't know. They had me come in. They've had me tested. I don't know what that means. Each time, nothing. So, so clearly he believes that he's like, their program is for meth addicts. I don't do meth. I've never done, I'm not using meth. I don't do meth. And so, I don't know. That's plausible, I suppose. Like it's plausible that, that's not his drug of choice and something else is, right? So he's telling me that like these people who are running this like meth clinic or something like that are, put a little bit of this oil in the pan. Oops, that was not supposed to happen, but we'll work with it. Because we're going to put some already cooked rice, and this is from a restaurant last night. So Chef Alex did not cook the saffron rice, but he's going to eat it. And so he's like, I wish you hadn't gone in with them. You said that you, you didn't mind like me doing whatever my thing was. But clearly, you'll lie if it's to protect them. They don't care about me, blah, blah, blah. And I just told them, I was like, dude, I got a life to live. I got a business to run. I don't have time to do any of this. What time do you want to get your stuff? And so that's where we're at. We just want him to get his stuff and get the fuck out. Hopefully there's no armed confrontation, but if there is, there is. And hopefully you don't read about me in the news. But if you do, you saw it here first for why you may in the future. Okay, so we are now done with this stuff. I'm going to take some of this moisture off. Got a comment? What's going on? Oh no, it has not been resolved. Hopefully we'll resolve it soon. Yeah, the unfortunate thing is I've definitely paid him enough to where, well, I guess the thing about drug addicts is they can't save up enough money to get guns because guns are expensive and so are drugs. And they always prefer getting drugs over guns. But, okay, so we're going to put this saffron rice. Over there. Oh, I definitely have not slept well the last couple nights. Fortunately, we are going out for vacation, not vacation, because it's probably going to be a hell match when we're dealing with my family, because we just found out I have a they-them relative. So it won't necessarily be vacation, but we are leaving Austin for a few days, so hopefully that keeps us out of Dodge. Yeah, the crazy thing is, like, okay, so what made me a little bit more paranoid last night was there's this gym bro that I used to see every day at the gym. Every day I'd see this guy at the gym, and then I didn't see him for months. And he trained very aggressively, and I didn't see him for months, and I finally had a dream that this guy got hurt and he got fat. And I saw him, but this was a dream. It didn't actually happen. Well, about 6 months after that dream, the guy shows back up, and he was fat. What happened? Oh, I got hurt. I'm like, oh, I had a dream that this happened. That's why I haven't seen you. Okay, well, I had a dream about 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. I don't know if it was before this started or after, but I had a dream that there was a homeless guy. There was a mattress in the side of our house, and there was a homeless guy trying to sleep there. I was like, what are you doing, bro? I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I'm hoping that my dreams are not some premonition of reality. But, okay, let's check this out.
So no pronoun relative.
Yeah, you know, we all have them at some point. Okay, so let's see how we did. Wonderful taste, wonderful texture. Chef Alex doesn't miss. How long did that take? 30 minutes? Like all the meals, this took 30 minutes. Cooked wonderful sea bass. My girlfriend's allergic to scallops, so I didn't cook those for her. With some saffron rice, and that's how we do it. This is gonna be about 55 grams of protein. For my girlfriend, it's gonna be closer to 20 because there's not actually that much protein in sea bass because it's very fatty, but that's okay because we're gonna have a lot of protein at dinner too. Thanks for tuning in for lunch and live stream. And I don't know if we're gonna catch you next Wednesday because we'll be on the road. So there's a good chance if we do it, it's just gonna be at a restaurant and we can chat about how things have been, provided that everybody's still in good condition and can talk about the last few days, and you know, lawyers haven't muzzled me or anything like that. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Be safe. Don't let drug addicts into your house if you have the choice. and stay tuned for more.
Jake says Chef Alex pronouns are protein dominant.
That's right, they are. I was actually thinking, as a closing statement, if non-binary people get their own pronouns, shouldn't extra masculine people get their pronouns? Like if I'm like, well, he, him is just not sufficient for me. Like I want to be Herc, like Hercules. Like just call me Herc, right? Do not call me he. He is just for regular masculine people, but I'm super masculine. Like, would I get my own pronouns? Would I have the right to be angry at people who wouldn't call me Herc? And, because being treated like a regular man has caused me a lot of distress in life. That's why I spend so much time going to the gym, building these big muscles, because I can't handle being treated like a regular man. So call me Herc. Till next time.